All my pictures seem to fade to black and white. I'm growing tired, and time stands still before me. Frozen here on the ladder of my life. It's too late to save myself from falling. I took a chance and changed your way of life. But you misread my meaning when I met you. Close the door and left me blinded by the light. Don't let the sun go down on me. Although I search myself, there's always someone else I see. I just allow a fragment of your life to wander free. But losing everything is like the sun going down on me. I can't find the right romantic line. But see me once and see the way I feel. Don't discard me just because you think I'm beyond. But these cuts I have, oh, they need love to help them heal. Don't let the sun go down on me. Although I search myself, there's always someone else I see. Searching out a fragment of your life to wander free. But losing everything is like the sun going down on me. Don't let the sun go down on me. Although I search myself, there's always someone else I see.
Linda Bishop, ladies and gentlemen.
Linda Bishop and the talented CSL House Band, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Oh, man. And how many times are we confronted with the idea or with the feeling that the sun is going down and it's not good? It needs to stop. So our topic this morning is, why me, God? Why me? Oh, why did that have to happen to me? Why did that thing come down into my life? Why is this happening to me? And why does it feel like things are closing in or shutting down or, it's just not good? Why me? And of course, this is one of the great dilemmas of the human condition that spirituality and religion and psychology and philosophy are constantly seeking to answer. Why me? And Science of Mind actually is less interested in the question, why me, as it is in the question, what now? Because I'm not sure we can always answer the question, why me? I don't always know why me. I don't know why I created something, attracted something, promoted it, or allowed it in my life. I don't always know the answers, and I think sometimes we can do a lot of, well, quite frankly, we can get sidetracked on that whole question. We can spend weeks and months, if not years, exploring why something happened, and we never actually have to do anything about it, do we? Because we feel as though we're completely engaged in the question, in what's going on. And we're asking the question, why me? And yet, this is often the very thing that drives us, thank God, into our spirituality. This is the very thing that will, for many of us, finally drives us into, well, there must be something I can do about it, or there must be some way I can participate in this, or there must be more to life than this thing that I keep experiencing over and over and over again. And it's that sort of place of bottom. If we are familiar with the 12-step, if we've dealt with addictions in our lives, we know that there comes that point where we hit bottom and there's no other place to go but to ultimately begin to ask the question, what now? Where do I go with this? What do I do with this? How do I have a different experience of my life? Because we know that where we are isn't working and it isn't enough. And so for many of us, we're driven onto the spiritual path. Now, some of us don't need that goad. We just go on the spiritual path because we're more enlightened, I guess. I'm not really sure, but we already go on the spiritual path, and we're drawn into that a relationship with the divine. But some of us need that moment of waking up and saying, okay, this is not okay anymore. This is not okay anymore. This doesn't work anymore. And we wake up to that desire to have it be different. Now, this conversation that we're going to have over the next 4 weeks is based on this work called the 4 Kingdoms of Consciousness. This work, nobody is completely clear about where exactly this idea started from. Michael Beckwith uses it a lot. It comes out of Marcia Sutton's work. There are other people who allude to this a lot. And so our conversation about it will be informed by Marcia Sutton's work. Tracy Brown made this beautiful diagram for us. I've modified it a little bit as I talk about it over the next 4 weeks. And so in that collaboration, we're going to be talking about the 4 Kingdoms of Consciousness. And this is, it's a map. It's a map for the development of our spiritual consciousness. One of the things that's really happened that's been very wonderful out of the scientific revolution and out of psychology and a lot of the new science that's happened is that we really have begun to understand that life is in fact evolving and that evolution has a trajectory. And if any of you are familiar with Ken Wilber's work and all the integral theory work that he does, he really has sort of consolidated this notion that it doesn't matter whether you're looking at yourself individually, whether you're looking at life collectively as a community, whether you're looking at an organization, whether you're looking at a family, a person, a body of work, the physical world, everything is evolving. and is moving through developmental stages. And these developmental stages can be tracked. I mean, we know them from from growing up, as we have the infancy and toddler and child and puberty and young adulthood, and we can actually track what's happening and how people are developing. Now, the good news about all of this is that development and the evolutionary path is automatic. And unless something really terrible goes wrong, it's actually guaranteed. Evolution, the developmental stages, it's guaranteed that we'll move through them if we are engaged in our own growth. And this is a good thing, or our teenagers would never leave the house, would they? They would never get out of puberty, and that would be bad. Do you see? It's bound to happen. It will happen. People do grow and mature. Plants, the seed becomes the little seedling and it grows into the larger plant. All of these processes, our whole system is designed that way. And when you apply developmental theory, you can apply developmental theory to everything, including organizational development, including the development of our own spirituality. We can actually see that there are developmental stages. Now, every map charts it a little differently. Not all maps are coherent with each other. Some maps take a different starting point. Some maps map different things. And so this isn't necessarily designed to be the end-all be-all map of everything, and it doesn't necessarily answer every question, but it is a map that is extremely useful and helpful. And so as we explore this map, we'll see that we are moving through stages of the development of consciousness. And not only is it assured that we will develop this way, we can participate. We can actively engage in our own evolution. We can actively engage in the development of our own consciousness. And we can move ourselves through these four kingdoms and have more of us living in kingdoms 3 and 4, which is where we really want to experience, which is where we really experience the presence of the divine in our lives. And we can have less of us stuck back in kingdom 1. So kingdom 1 is what we're going to talk about. You'll see that the kingdoms go, 1 is to me, goes up to 2 is by me, it comes back down here to kingdom 3 is through me, and kingdom 4 is as me. And we'll be exploring them on Sundays, and then we'll be going deeper into it on Wednesday nights. So this Sunday, we're talking as briefly as possible about being a victim. Briefly. And as Linda so beautifully sung about that place where we feel like, the sun is going down and we don't want it to, but life is moving over the edge in some form or fashion. Kingdom 1 is that place of separation. I'm separate from everything and everybody, and it just keeps happening to me, doesn't it? They fire me from my job, those silly people. The economy, what are they doing? And those people that are all there on the traffic, they're always cutting me off, right? Victim consciousness, it's always somebody else's fault, isn't it? There's always somebody else doing it to us. And it can be a person in our life, it can be situations and circumstances in our life, it can be things that are going on in the culture or in society or the politicians or those bankers or the lawyers or the whatever your favorite group is to hate and to blame and to point fingers at and if they could only get it together, if they stopped being who they would, stop doing whatever they were doing, greedy or whatever it is, then I would be happy. We can also be a victim of our own consciousness. Well, I just can't control my thoughts. I can't control my feelings. I just feel what I feel. It's being done to me. I can't control my thoughts. I just am obsessed with how upset I am. Do you see? I am a victim then of that thing which is being done to me. We can even find this in spirituality, in our religions, where it's sort of God doing it to us, and particularly that notion of the will of God. Well, the child had this experience or loss or whatever, and the answer is the will of God. It's somehow God is doing this to us. The challenge with all of it is, of course, is that if it's out there and it's being done to me, then I have to somehow appease that. I have to I have to fix everything out there so that then I'm happy. How does it working for you? Fixing everything out there. Managing all those people. Making them be different. Working for you? Yeah, not so much, right? And so over and over and over again, we are reminded that this place of victimhood doesn't really build the kind of life that we are desiring. There is a power for good in the universe, but I don't deserve it. I can't use it. It's withheld from me. These are all of the ways in which we engage in spiritual practice when we are coming from the victim consciousness. Lynn Forrest says this: whether we know it or not, most of us react to life as victims. Whenever we refuse to take responsibility for ourselves, we are unconsciously choosing to react as a victim. This inevitably creates feelings of anger, fear, guilt, or inadequacy, and leaves us feeling betrayed or taken advantage of by others. Don't you just hate that feeling? Yeah, that is not a good place to live, is it? I do not even want to begin to admit how many times I have felt myself feeling those feelings. And I won't require you to raise your hand. I know I'm not alone in the room. And how often we find ourselves that fast. We can find ourselves sucked back into victim consciousness. Something is being done to me. And there we are. And all of these feelings that we don't want to experience, that are not part of the spiritual truth of who we are, they all get activated, don't they? And then there we are. And we feel helpless, powerless. We feel unable to do anything about it. We feel stuck, trapped, and we just plain feel bad. Ernest Holmes goes on to say this: thank you, Shondell, for fixing all these slides. I'm so grateful to you. They were not easily read at the first service. I do not believe that God has imposed suffering upon anyone to punish them or to teach them a lesson. This is by Ernest Holmes. I do not believe that God has imposed suffering upon anyone to punish them or to teach them a lesson. So sometimes it seems to me what we do in our positive practical spirituality, trying to get a handle on why me and how come this thing happened, is that we explain it to ourselves that God has decided, the Spirit has decided that we need to be taught a lesson. Well, I came to learn this lesson. There's a lesson that I'm supposed to get from this. And do you see, all of that language still puts it as it's being done to us. God has decided that we need this lesson. Spirit has decided that we are going to have to walk through this fire so that we can become more involved or enlightened. Science of Mind does not teach this. Science of Mind teaches us that there are things that happen in our lives. 90% of them we make up. It's actually not even real. It's not really even going on. Or we've attracted it. 10% of it is real. When you stub your toe, it does in fact hurt. But it doesn't work to blame the thing on which you've stubbed your toe, does it? We can rail against it, and we can curse it and swear at it and do all those sorts of things, but it doesn't change the fact that we've still stubbed our toe. And Science of Mind does not teach that you stubbed your toe so that you could learn a lesson. What we teach is you stubbed your toe. Now what? What are we going to take from it? What lesson is available to us? What might we see? How might we see it differently? Rather than cursing and swearing at the thing that we stubbed our toe on. Do you see the difference? So, how do we move out of victim consciousness? This is the question. How do we move out of victim consciousness? What do you think, guys? Girls? I know I'm from the East Coast. It's just guys, I'm sorry. So how do you move out of victim consciousness? Anyone? Oh, you are so good. Oh my God, you get a gold star, go to the head of the class. Take responsibility. Take responsibility. Now, I want to be really clear. I don't necessarily take responsibility for every single thing that has ever happened to me, particularly not as children. And some of those macrocosmic sorts of things. I actually don't believe that I created my father to be a rageaholic, alcoholic person who beat me. I don't believe I created that. I believe he created that. That was the product of his creation. And I grew up in that. But I can take responsibility for, am I going to be a victim of that for the rest of my life? Is that going to be the story I tell about who I am? Is that how I'm going to behave in the world? Am I going to respond to people always on the defensive? Am I going to take responsibility to say, wait, that's not the truth of life. There's actually a different way of looking at life, experiencing life, take responsibility for the beliefs that were developed because of that, and say, no, I actually don't want to be afraid of people. I don't want to be afraid of situations. I don't want to have that kind of way of being in the world. So the question is, what am I going to do with this piece of experience that I've had? Now, sometimes I actually do have to take responsibility for the mess that I made. I was unconscious and I spoke out of anger and I hurt someone's feelings and now I have a mess. I actually have to take responsibility for that. Do you see? We have to find the thing that we are taking responsibility for. That's a part of our maturing process. And I don't take responsibility for other people's feelings. I don't take responsibility for their experience. There are things that we take responsibility for, and there are things that we don't take responsibility for. But to really be clear about what it is that we're taking responsibility for and to do that, this is the only way to get out of victim consciousness, because we can't change anything unless we're willing to take responsibility for it. In some form or fashion, we have to take responsibility or we can't do anything about it. Eleanor Roosevelt says this: in the long run, we shape our lives and we shape ourselves. The process never ends until we die, and the choices we make are ultimately our own responsibility. And so this is where the rubber meets the road. This begins the shift in consciousness. The shift in consciousness is not just taking responsibility for how I act, or what I say, or how I speak, or how I respond to the world, but really deeply then to begin to take responsibility for my spiritual awareness, for my spiritual consciousness. Am I walking around in the world expecting good? Am I taking responsibility for my expectation? Do I expect good, or is half of me still waiting to see what's going to happen? Am I walking around expecting people to be nice, to be a place of love? Am I walking around bringing the consciousness of love into a situation? Do you see? That's something I can take responsibility for. We are invited in this move in our spiritual development is to begin to take responsibility not just for the way that we show up in the world, but to actually take responsibility for our own consciousness and for what's happening in our consciousness. To be the peace that we want to see in the world, to be the love that we want to experience in the world, to be the joy, to be the prosperity, to be the place of giving that we want to experience in the world. Do you see? These are the things that we can take responsibility for. And we can actually then begin to move out of victim consciousness. We're no longer a victim of all that stuff because we've asked the question, what now? What can I do? How can I see it differently, be it differently, respond to it differently? And when we do that, we're moving into this place of answered prayer. And so this brings us to our annual theme, TSRW, work it. Our annual theme. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about how this developed. It's really been a lot of fun. In my Sangha group a number of years ago, well, let me start out with this. Living an answered prayer. What happens when we begin in our spiritual practice to take responsibility for things? We begin to pray for them. We begin to treat about something. We begin to say, no, I'm not going to be unforgiving anymore. I'm going to start being forgiving. And then, wow, magically, it feels like something really shifts. And we're so surprised. We're like so surprised that our affirmations start to pan out, that our prayers are answered. We're so surprised, at least I am. I've been doing this for a really long time. It's like, oh my God, look, it worked again. Wow. Especially when it's about things that are a little more challenging, a little bigger, a little larger, a little, oh, that's a big thing I'm doing prayer work about. So we started doing this. We do a lot of prayer, of course, in our Sangha. We pray every time we get together, and we text each other prayer requests. And somewhere along the line, one of us, it might even have been me, it might have been somebody else, there was a prayer demonstration that was being shared in the Sangha, and and I or somebody said, "Oh my God, can you believe it? This stuff really works." Well, we didn't say it quite like that because I'm speaking from the pulpit on Sunday morning. But that's and we were so surprised. Oh my God, like this stuff really works. And then we burst out laughing. Like, why are we surprised about this? We get together all the time. We have prayer partners. We're praying constantly. Why are we surprised that when we shift consciousness, something changes? This science of mind, it really works. And so we began texting each other when we would have prayer requests, and then somebody would text, "Hey, I got the presentation went well," or "I got the job," or "I got the whatever the demonstration," and we'd start texting each other, "TSRW, TSRW, this stuff really works, and let's stop being surprised about it. TSRW, we should expect it. Let's expect that this stuff really works. This science really works for us when we work it." So as we were talking about this for our annual theme last July, one of the things that really got circled around was this beautiful AA phrase. For those of you who are familiar with the 12-step program, it's a beautiful phrase. It works if you work it. It works if you work it. And we can't quite steal their phrase because actually it's a 12-step phrase, but the idea that this stuff really works, but you actually have to work it. The only way to move out of Kingdom 1 consciousness is to take responsibility for our consciousness. We actually have to work it. We actually have to work at seeing it differently, being different, moving in it differently. And so TSRW Work It is our embracing this year of this stuff really works. Let's work it. Let's use it in our lives. Let's start demonstrating amazing prosperity, unbelievable health, joyous relationships, really giving our gift and expressing ourselves in the world in a bigger, better, and newer way than we have in the past. I hope that by the end of this year, we're all texting each other, "TSRW! Oh my God, TSRW! Yes, this stuff really works." I made my prayer request. I said my spiritual mind treatment. I had my prayer partners treating with me. I met with my Sangha, whatever it was, and TSRW. I'm living an answered prayer. My prayer has been answered. So that we move into that place where we are expecting ourselves to demonstrate. We should expect ourselves to move out of the situations that we've been in. Whatever has transpired over the last few years that maybe hasn't been as good as we would have liked it to have been, it's time now for us to expect that to be different. For us to see it and believe it and do the work to bring it about. TSRW, work it. That's our theme for the year. We're going to be moving as deeply into that in as many different ways as we can, starting with working these 4 kingdoms of consciousness. What is moving us so that we can develop that deep expectation that our lives should work. And they should be our lives should be blessed by our spiritual practice and our spiritual principles. So we practice this, of course, in our community, and we practice it in our leadership, and as we are moving forward and moving and seeking to grow this community and find new ways to reach out and support and do all of the things that we do as a community. So we have a fabulous TSRW to share with you this morning about a fabulous demonstration. So I'm going to bring Joe Tinker, the chair of our core council, up here to share with us.
Thank you, Reverend Petra. As I told you, I am very pleased to serve as your chair of the core council here at the Center for Spiritual Living. About 8 years ago, when I found the center for the first time, shout out to the first-time visitors. I remember when I did that, and I can think of all of the experiences that I've had as I've attended classes and as I've come to the services and workshops and all the transformations that I've seen here at the center amongst my friends. And you really are a TSRW. As you look around, just that you are that demonstration. And I've participated in that and really grown my involvement and activity here to the point where I am today with the core council, and so deeply involved and so glad to be involved in that way. And during the course of those years, I've seen Reverend Petra collaborate with some really fantastic people, really terrific leaders in our movement and terrific spiritual entities on their own that have been a tremendous inspiration to me. And it's been a benefit for Reverend Petra to have such terrific people with whom to collaborate. And what we've known is that recently Petra has been all alone in our senior ministership and senior spiritual leadership. She has done this on her own and has, in her consciousness, wanted to attract a co-collaborator, a person of great value to the community with whom she can collaborate to create the spiritual experiences that we all seek and give her the freedom to move about and do more and greater things. And so the core council has been with Reverend Petra, affirming that and holding that consciousness and praying for that, trying to find and seek and think and create a mental equivalent and to draw into our experience this thing for Reverend Petra. We don't know how it will show up. We don't know exactly who it would be. Certainly we wouldn't know how we would pay for it. We didn't really know the answer to any of those questions. So we just did what we knew how to do, which was to expect it and to pray for it, to affirm it. And we get to tell you something really great. 2014 is lighting up like a rocket ship. Strap on your seatbelts because we are going for a terrific ride this year. And we have a new co-pilot to announce, a co-minister, someone who will be an associate minister joining our staff effective immediately. And I want to welcome to the podium, please give a warm welcome to Reverend Karen Fry.
So let me say a few things. Let me just say a few things. You'll have an opportunity to meet Karen. Actually, Karen's start date will be February 1st. She actually goes back to California tomorrow, and she'll be starting with us February 1st. So we'll be doing an installation. You'll have a meet and greet with Reverend Karen, get to know a little bit more about her. We'll be sending out some information. I do want to let you know she comes to us with 23 years of senior executive work in sales and marketing. She's been a senior warden for the Episcopalian Church for many years and has most recently spent the last 7 years at the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living as the chair of the core council, as well as on the stewardship core, and doing lots of work with their fundraising and building consciousness and lending her energy there. She's a brand new graduate from Holmes Institute. And as I've been exploring and looking around, I've known Karen for a number of years. We've sort of run into each other at lots of the centers for spiritual living. She's very active in leadership and have been really have had an opportunity to work together and get to know each other. And it's really an opportunity for this ministry to grow and expand in a way that I simply can't do on my own anymore. We're sort of, this is as far as I can take us by myself. So Karen, come over here. So I do feel the need to say, so I apologize for the fact that we're both tall, blonde women. I don't really know what to say about that. I did speak to some men. I spoke to some young men, people of color, reached out to in a lot of different ways, and nothing really came to fruition, and nothing really felt right. And so one of the things that I want to share with you is, and one of the things that really felt like it was a powerful possibility for us is that Karen and I, we have a lot of diversity on the inside. So I'm like the intellect. I'm like the Jnana Yoga path. She'd be like all heart. And so I've been in not-for-profit for 30 years, and she's been in the business world and out in the brings all that corporate business background. She's a deep background in the Episcopalian Christian tradition, all the way up until just 8 years ago. I've been in Science of Mind for the last 30 years. So there's a lot of complementary ways in which we really feel like we'll share in that, and that will stretch and grow our ministry and broaden our reach and really allow us to serve the community in a much larger way. And for those of you who have been around for a really long time, you know that I used to have this relationship with Michael Gott. And I really miss him. And I know that all of you do too. And I know he's doing fabulous work down at Unity in Houston, and he and I get to occasionally collaborate, but I really miss that. a lot. And I've done the best I could by myself and with the other people that I have. But with Karen, I feel like I'm finding that synergy again. And that sense of collaboration and synergy. And I believe that that's going to be just an amazing gift to you and for this community. And so I just really invite you to open your heart to Karen and just, walk the path of possibility with us. It feels like it's given me a whole new lease on life in the ministry and here in Dallas and with the possibilities of what we can do together. So I'm actually really, really excited about this. And I want to say a massive thank you to those of you who have put forward extra money to make this happen this year in a way that is truly a TSRW like you cannot believe. Just an extraordinary thing. So I'm actually going to turn that pulpit over to Rev Karen.
Thank you. I come to you with a raspy, sexy voice. This is not my normal voice, and it's really interesting. I was reflecting on this because 2 years ago I stood here. February will be 2 years when I came into your community when Dr. Petra asked me to come and speak and facilitate a Be Love workshop. And I met some of you here, and recently that talk was replayed thanks to the ice storm when I couldn't come and be with you then, earlier in December. And when I stood here though 2 years ago, I got to tell you, the honest truth is, when I walked into this community, I felt this was home. And I've spoken in a lot of CSL communities across the country. And Oakland Center has certainly been my home, someplace I thought I would remain for a very long time, and yet there was something special when I walked in here 2 years ago, and it was so deep and profound that I actually went home and discussed it and said, if Petra ever thinks about leaving, I think I'm going to have to do whatever I can to be the minister there. And so this is truly a TSRW for me in a way that I couldn't even imagine, because she's not leaving. And I also have been looking to co-minister and collaborate with someone at a very big vision level. And I actually announced that last year with someone that's graduating this year, but as we got deeper into that partnership of that ministry, found out it's really not, we're not aligned. And so I'm so excited to be a part of this. I've had some opportunities behind the scenes that you don't know about to collaborate with Petra. And it's been a true collaboration. And we've laughed and we've had fun over Skype or telephone calls or whatever it is. And what has come out of that collaboration has been awesome. So I'm telling you, we have no idea what's about to happen when these two powerhouses come together and collaborate for this community, because I'm used to taking communities to the next level. That's what I did for 23 years, is to take businesses to the next level. So I'm really thrilled about this, because I know that you guys are ready to go to the next level. The other thing that's been most important to me and why you've seen me around is I needed to come here and be with you for a little bit, because I needed to know if there truly was a call here for me. I needed to feel the call. And this is not about a job for me. And I had to hold back the emotions a lot of times as I stepped into here, and my heart space, my heart chakra, and all that I am just got filled up and overflowing with the love that is fully present here. So I have felt the call. I have felt you calling me, whether you feel so specifically or not, and that's been important. That's why I have been here for a few weeks, so I could feel that. The other thing that I wanted to share is I'm most excited about the vision of CSL. Thanks to the ice storm, we had to spend a little extra time since we didn't have the Advent Sunday, and Petra really shared the vision here, and it's big. And it's exciting over these next 5, 10, 15, however many years we get to spend together. I know that we're going to deepen our connection. We're going to expand this place. I'm so excited to come back to my southern roots. I lived here 4 years before I moved to the Bay Area, and I'm from the South, so I'm grateful to be back in my southern roots. And the other thing that I really wanted to say, so that you all know this, because this is very important to me, is I am deeply touched by the diversity of this community. Petra told me it's a diverse community, and I've always said, anyone that knows me knows that I know I wouldn't be called, and I wouldn't allow myself to be called to a community that's not diverse. So yes, so we're sort of, two blonde, tall women. And I know that the diversity is going to deepen, widen, and expand here. I love that so much in my life, and that's the life that I've led as much as possible. And so I've already said yes to you by signing the letter of call this morning with Joe and Petra. But what I promise you is when I get here February 1st, I've got a few more mountains to move in less than 30 days, so I've got a lot to do to get here by February 1st, and I will. I promise you that when I step here, I will fully give you all of me. I will leave nothing behind. You will get all of me, and I will be love in every single moment with you. And we're going to have fun on this journey together, because I am excited to call CSLDallas my home. Thank you.
TSRW, 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 TSRW. That's all I can say. And so I hope that, as I said, I hope by the end of the year, you're texting that to your prayer partners every other day. Let us pray. Moving into that place where we know the truth of the oneness between our souls, the oneness of all life, the oneness of all love and all joy, the oneness of hope and peace and power. We simply allow ourselves this morning to stand so fully present in that space that we know the truth of who we are. That we know we are here to express more life, more love, more joy, more wholeness. That we have a gift to give that not only heals our souls, but heals the planet. That every one of us has a purpose and a reason for being here, and that our life matters. And that when we come together in community, when we come together in co-creation, when we collaborate with each other in new and different ways, when we allow ourselves to be moved to that larger, greater vision, we are about bringing heaven on earth. We are about creating a world that works for everyone. We are about awakening the spiritual magnificence of all humanity. And we are about being the love and the light that is the truth of who we are. I affirm that this opens for each one of us as we move into 2014. That we are lifted, our lives are stretched and grown, our light is brighter, and that we have more to receive and more to give. I declare it not only for every person in this community, but I declare it for all people everywhere, for all beings across our planet, that we may discover a new way, a new life, a new hope, a new love, a new peace. For this is the truth of all of life as it expresses as us. We simply allow it to be so. We call it good and blessed. We let it be, and so it is.